të Ballkanit Perëndimor do të jenë hapasapi duke u integruar në tregun tonë të përbashkët të Evropian dhe pika 8 ime dhe e fundit është që në nevojitet një urë ndërmjet tregut trienal të përbashkët dhe tregut të vetëm Evropian dhe kjo urë është plani ynë i rritjes apo i zgjerimit për Ballkanin Perëndimor në vlerë prej 6 miliardë investimesh. Nuk është rasti që kam vendosur që ta lansoj këtë plan vitin e kaluar në procesin e Berlinit gjatë samitit të mbajtur në Tiranë. Arsyeja është shumë e thjeshtë, pra plani i rritjes dhe procesi i Berlinit janë të ndërlidhur. Me planin e rritjes e hapim dorën për sektor të caktuar të tregut të vetëm. Që të përdoret kjo hapje, Ballkani Perëndimor duhet të adaptoj reforma të caktuara në nivelin horizontal, pastaj kjo të përkrohet nëpërmjet investimeve në çdo vend evropian dhe progresi është i prekshëm. Ne kërkojmë nga partnerët tanë që të bëjnë reformat e tyre sipas agjendës së planit të rritjes dhe sot raportojmë që 5 nga 6 agjendat do të adoptohen këtë javë dhe kjo nënkupton që pagesa 6 miliard eurosh të planit të rritjes mund të filloj para fundit të këtij viti. Kjo nuk do të ishte e mundur asnjëherë pa procesin e Berlinit. Pra puna e madhe që është bërë në procesin e Berlinit është një rrëfim suksese dhe është një rrugë të cilën e kemi filluar dhe ju falenderoj edhe një herë shumë për mikpritjen sot këtu. Anila Schuka nga Deutsche Welle.
Eingangsrede von einer neuen Dynamik im Normalisierungsprozess zwischen Serbien und Kosovo gesprochen. Die Frage ist, wie konkret stellen Sie sich diese neue Dynamik vor und welche Schritte halten Sie für entscheidend, um Fortschritte in diesem langwierigen Konflikt zu erzielen? Und die zweite Frage geht an beide. Es hat 10 Jahre Berlin-Prozess. Es hat ein bisschen den Eindruck hinterlassen, dass es auf der Kosten der Demokratie in diesen Ländern gegangen ist. Also Milorad Dodik spricht immer noch von Unabhängigkeitsreferendum. Serbien beschäftigt seine strategische Partnerschaft mit Russland auch nach dem Ukraine-Krieg. Gleichzeitig verlegt es weiterhin Militär in die Nähe der kosovarischen Grenze. Sind Sie sicher, dass der Berliner Prozess, der auch nationalistische Akteure mit einbezieht, nicht unbeabsichtigt diese Kräfte stärkt? Wäre es nicht sinnvoller, die Strategie zu überdenken und verstärkt die demokratischen Kräfte in der Region zu unterstützen?
Ja, schönen Dank für die Frage. Zunächst mal ist es ganz klar, wir sind sehr froh darüber, dass wir die Entwicklung des gemeinsamen regionalen Marktes voranbekommen, dass wir jetzt dieses Abkommen abgeschlossen haben, was Sie konnten ja der Zeremonie auch beiwohnen. Das war für uns sehr wichtig und dazu mussten Serbien und Kosovo Voraussetzungen schaffen, damit das auch tatsächlich möglich ist. Zuletzt die Grenzöffnung. Insofern ist da Dynamik in dieser Entwicklung. Wir haben auch Vereinbarungen, die zwischen den Ländern abgeschlossen worden sind, wo wir immer nur sagen, wir wünschen uns, dass die jetzt vollständig auf beiden Seiten umgesetzt werden. Denn was man nun tun muss, ist ja schon letztendlich zwischen allen besprochen. Das ist etwas, das eine gute Ausgangsposition ist, in der wir nicht verharren sollten, sondern aus der wir jetzt mit dem, was heute passiert ist und jetzt hier zusammengekommen ist, diese Dynamik dann auch nutzen sollten für weiteren Fortschritt. Und insgesamt, glaube ich, kann man für diese Region insgesamt sagen und nicht nur, was die beiden Länder betrifft, wir müssen dafür Sorge tragen, dass all diese Staaten, die sich irgendwann gemeinsam in der Europäischen Union befinden wollen, nicht ständig versuchen, den Prozess mit bilateralen Vorbehalten aufzuhalten. Bleibt eine Verständigung
as concerns the region in general, I'd like to say, and this is not only with regard to the two countries which you've referred to, but all these countries, all these states that want to be members of the European Union, or these countries that want to be together, should make sure that they don't slow down the process because of bilateral issues. Bilateral issues should remain bilateral, and the accession process runs on the basis of, well, it's merit-based, and this creates an accession process. We will continue to support that process. I think it's fair to say that we have been able to achieve quite a lot with the help of others, but also through our own effort. It's prestige, it's commitment that Germany has invested and will continue to invest to ensure that all of the countries here will end up members of the European Union one day. And of course, it is a problem that it takes so long, or has taken so long, as you referred to in your question. It was 20 years ago that the order offer was submitted in Thessaloniki. So you need to show patience time and again to knuckle down. And this makes this Berlin process so important, because it constitutes a clear commitment on the part of everyone, so that people know, well, these people actually have an interest in it, and we can rely on them. And if we do our bit, it will pay off at the end of the day, and I think everyone can rely on this.
Too, that, of course, we have seen during these 20 years on the right side of history and on the side of the international law, and all countries applying for EU membership have been very clear on that one, and have moved to the side of the democracy and the defense of the international law. There's a second element that is so important besides of the international law, and all countries applying for EU membership have been very clear on that one, and have moved to the side of the democracy and the defense of the international law. And there's a second element that is so important besides the political element, and this is the economic development. We know that one of the success stories within the European Union and enlargement of the European Union was the increase of GDP, the economic growth and prosperity. And this is the reason why, together with the Berlin process, we are now working on this growth plan that opens partially the door already now, before accession, to the single market, so that the fruits of the single market and more trade between the Western Balkan region and the single market already have a positive effect on prosperity in these 6 countries.
Frau Kommissionspräsidentin,
Madam Commission President, Federal Chancellor, I'd like to ask a question pertaining to CEFTA, the Free Trade Agreement. Madam President von der Leyen, in the back, maybe you could elaborate on the practical advantages, because economists say that these 6 countries, due to their economic structure, are so similar that there is no need for an agreement between these countries. Could you elaborate on the concrete and tangible advantages? And the question to both of you, because you mentioned this, the accession date. Federal Chancellor, you said that these 6 countries will only be able to join en bloc, if I understood you correctly, and that it shouldn't take another 10 years for them to be able to accede. So do you think that there will be accessions before 2030? Romania and Bulgaria also joined the Union without fulfilling all necessary conditions. On the agreement that was forged, indeed it is necessary. A lot of things come into play, because it's a bit confusing that the countries which are not that large, which are close together and have more trade amongst with Germany than amongst each other. But yet, indeed, you can generate a lot of additional growth if you reduce the legal barriers which have originated on the way, which provide an obstacle to the free flow of goods and services, and people who want to work in other countries have difficulties of doing so. So you can do away with these barriers, and this is also due to the fact that you need a border infrastructure. So we want to develop infrastructure further, so that resources can be further developed. So, Of course, we want to develop a joint perspective for all, but there will be countries who will have concluded accession talks earlier and fulfill other conditions. We will not hold them back, but everyone needs to know that they belong to a joint future and that you cannot mutually block each other, but in the end, you can create the necessary conditions by your own work to succeed.
Unblocking of the process. Very important is the fact that there is political will to work together. So the psychology behind it is also important. The growth plan actually is very clear that it says you cannot block the others. You have to work on your growth plan individually. So the only one you can block is yourself. And also this brought dynamic because there is the understanding if you want to have the benefits of the single market, do your homework and don't get into conflicts with the others. Indeed, to the second question, it is a merits-based process.
Por do të qëndrojmë pranë parimeve të cilat janë pra parimet e bazuara në merit. Sa për këtë Taiwanit dhe ushtrime ushtarake në Kinë që po bën tani, ka pasur ndonjë përpjekje për këtë vend që të bëhet diçka lidhur me pavarësinë dhe si do të jetë reagimi I partnerëve tuaj lidhur me këtë. Dhe tani ka dhe sanksione të reja të paralajmëruara për Iranin. Apo planifikon edhe Bashkimi Evropian të bëjë diçka ngjashëm?
Wir haben eine klare Politik, die wir über viele Jahre verfolgen, was Taiwan betrifft. Daran ändert sich jetzt nichts in dieser Situation. Wir schauen natürlich genau hin. Und für uns ist auch immer klar, wir gehen davon aus, dass niemand versucht, mit Gewalt an der Situation, wie sie zwischen Taiwan und
We pursue clear policies as far as Taiwan is concerned. This remains unchanged. We take a close look and monitor closely. For us, it is clear we assume that no one tries to change the situation between Taiwan and the People's Republic of China by the use of force, but of course we will continue to monitor closely.
Council took a decision on sanctions on Iran. The reason is that Iran is supporting Russia's drone and missile terror against innocent civilians in Ukraine. The daily killing and the death of innocent people that we see would not be possible without the supplies and the supply lines by Iran. And therefore, these sanctions against Iran are sending a very clear message. Contributions to terror and Russia's illegal war of aggression have serious consequences.
Vielen Dank, Frau Präsidentin, Herr Bundeskanzler. Es kommt ja nicht so häufig.
Madam Commission President, Federal Chancellor, I would like to take this opportunity and ask a more fundamental question pertaining to your cooperation. In recent times, we've seen divisions also when it comes to punitive tariffs on e-vehicles. What does this mean? You could also call it a dispute. What does this mean for your future cooperation? And Madam von der Leyen, how confident are you that by the end of the month you will come to a solution with China for these punitive tariffs not to enter into force?
Fragend.
Well, by asking a question about something, you're not necessarily turning it into a fact. We are on the phone.
Ich will gern sagen, dass das unverändert. Ich habe auch den Eindruck, unsere gemeinsame Hoffnung ist, dass es bis Ende Oktober eine Verständigung mit China geben wird.
Ja, die Zusammenarbeit ist gut und sie ist intensiv und in der Tat, man kann unterschiedliche Positionen haben, aber deshalb arbeiten wir gemeinsam am Fortschritt Europas.
As a Chancellor, are of course also subject of our discussions. I am hopeful that there will be an agreement by the end of October with China.
Ishte kjo konferenca e përbashkët mes presidentes KE-s von der Leyen dhe kancelarit gjerman Olaf